Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Coffee with Craig show. We'll be talking about commercial real estate in Central and Eastern Europe. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special edition of the Coffee with Craig show. We're here in Cannes, France, at the biggest real estate fair in Europe, MIPIM. And I'm here with Petar Orlic from NKO law firm based in Serbia, based in Belgrade. And also, Petar, I see you're also the British Serbian part of the British Serbian Chamber of Commerce, and you're also like the assistant chairman or chairman of
it.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, deputy chairman.
Deputy chairman.
Yeah.
So Petar, tell us a little bit about yourself, because I know you've been in the UK a long time and lawyer there, and now in Serbia. Yes.
Thank you, Craig. What a beautiful surrounding. Thanks for the opportunity.
Place, yeah.
It's a great opportunity. It's great to catch up with you in MIPIM again.
Mm-hmm.
I was born and raised in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Born up in Yorkshire. Went to university there. Then lived in Japan for a while. Then came back and finished all my legal career, legal qualifications, should I say. And then worked in the City of London for 20 years as a real estate lawyer.
Okay.
And over those years, we've worked on a few projects in the former Yugoslavia, where I made some very important and worthwhile connections with law firms. And one of those connections was with the founders of NKO, Georgia Nikolic and Juro Tašević. And we've stayed in contact, and they've been asking me over the years, look, let's work together. And I bit the bullet and said, yes, let's do that. And I've been working closely with them over the past 6 months.
All right. And I noticed that, we've known each other for at least 15 years at different conferences and different real estate events in Serbia. So I think we met at a few, at least once or twice a year there. And so you want to tell us a little bit more about the law firm and what they've been doing and what are the plans, let's say?
Fantastic law firm, full service law firm. So the partners kind of focus on real estate, on pharma, mining, commercial, M&A, finance, so full service.
All the big sectors.
All the big sectors, you name it, they do it. They've been particularly busy over the past few months with CTP.
Right. Okay.
That's one of their major clients, and they've worked with them on their expansion plans in Serbia. And Dr. Max as well from the Czech Republic. It's the medicine and the pharmacy.
Sure. Yeah, retail as well. Yeah.
So that's been keeping them very busy. But mining's been keeping them busy as well, and any kind of M&A work. So it's been a great few years for them, and they wanted to get me more involved with my experience in the UK as a kind of international kind of gateway for people and investors coming into Serbia.
Right. So what is there any specific, so you're looking at investors in the UK and wanting to be able to help them out coming into Serbia. Is there any specific sectors or that you're focusing on?
Yeah, absolutely. Not necessarily the UK. Any kind of investor, when we're thinking real estate's hot still, pharma industry, mining, there's been all that kind of talk last year about Rio Tinto, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But there are lots of other opportunities.
They must need a lot of lawyers, I would imagine.
There's lots of other opportunities as well. And on the employment side, we kind of do lots of work as well. And we're part of lots of global networks of lawyers, and on the list of lots of international law firms that when they do these big M&A deals and corporate deals, that they need assistance in Serbia and Montenegro, where we've got an office as well. And we've got very close ties with Croatian law firms too.
Okay. And then you mentioned earlier that you were in Tokyo for 3 years. So I guess, I imagine for some Japanese investors, you would be the key guy to speak to.
I'm working on that as we currently speak. There's a Japanese business association in Belgrade that I'm reaching out to and trying to get more connected with. I'm part of the British Serbian Chamber of Commerce. I was actually in Kopernik last week.
Oh, okay,
At the Serbian Davos.
I was going to say, tell us a little bit about that, and little bit of our watchers a little bit about that.
It was great. It was all the big players, all the heavy hitters in Serbia, all gathered there. Not only Serbia, but in the Western Balkans generally. All gathered there, and because lots of business I've noticed in Serbia goes through these chambers.
Right.
So whether it's the British Serbian Chamber, whether it's the German Serbian Chamber, the French Serbian Chamber, and there was an actual chamber event when I was there where I got to know everyone very well. But it's lots of business flows through those chambers, which is very interesting as well.
Sure.
The UK, investment from Germany, investments from the US, investments from China, Russia, that's kind of standard. But the UK's lagging behind a little bit. So I see them over the next few years catching up immensely.
Right. So why do you think the UK is lagging behind? I mean, do you see a lot of Germans and a lot of Austrians? They are there. Yeah, they've been there.
Just PR.
Yeah,
I think the PR's been not too good over the past kind of 10, 20 years after the war, etc. But that is all changing. We've got a fantastic ambassador at the minute, British ambassador. She is actually leaving, and there's another guy joining. So there's political will, there's momentum, and I think there'll be lots of opportunities, such as student accommodation.
Right,
which we talked about
just here. Yeah, I mean, this is really one of the, not the first, but at MIPIM, this is really one of the, I'd say, very well organized and professional conferences that, I've been to a few of them, and it's been, some openings, some launches, but really, hey, this is what's going on in the market. It's great to have the Belgrade architect here.
Yeah.
Because the architects are really, when you talk to developers and investors, they're like, okay, the mayor's fine, let's talk to the architect. Great to see they're here.
Absolutely, and he was talking about the National Stadium that's being built. He was talking about the Expo Centre that's going to be built. He was talking about all the new linear parks that are going to be built and how he's got to, there are a few hindrances because Belgrade's booming so much. There's been quite a bit of pollution over the past few years, but they're working on that as well.
Yeah.
So it was a very positive presentation and lots of opportunities because Serbia is playing catch up.
Yeah.
With all, Poland over the years, it's been booming. Czech Republic, Croatia's been booming, but Serbia is catching up slowly but surely.
Well, sometimes when Belgrade's number 2 in pollution, Poland's number 1. Yeah, so it's different cities, I guess, are taking over. But it's of course, it's about they're expanding. I mean, I was talking to one of the companies here, and they said, look, we were buying apartments at 800 euros a square meter. Now they're 4,000.
Yeah, that's true.
So the investors are making money.
But the demand is huge.
Right.
Huge demand, and it's all about demand and supply. And when you've got that huge demand, that's when prices increase. So it doesn't surprise me.
So when you're talking to UK investors, is it more production, real estate? I mean, IT services? Where do you see the really big opportunities? Let's say that British company, I know it could be anybody. The British companies are really got to get on the ball and start doing something.
When I was at Coponic, surprisingly, for the services sector, especially IT. And pharma as well, kind of thing, and medical care. The UK is number 2 investor into Serbia, number 1 being America. So that's where they've got a bit of traction, and that's where I think they can really help.
So like typical for the British, it's always the services and financial services they're at.
And the science as well. AstraZeneca's in Serbia.
Right.
They were over in the UK recently with a science minister from Serbia as well. So I think there's lots of traction there and lots of synergies.
Now, how about on the banking side? What do you see from, because sometimes some of these British companies don't come in until there's a British bank set up there.
I think that will be, that's a more a medium to long term kind of process. However,
so don't wait for a British bank.
Don't wait for a British bank.
Start doing business.
I know, we were looking at student accommodation for one particular client a few years back, and the local banks, including some foreign banks that had a local presence in Belgrade, such as Mira Bank, such as Halk Bank,
right,
and then the Italians, and then the Ersters of this world, and Raiffeisens, they all put together decent proposals for this one particular student accommodation developer. So finance is there; you can get it.
Right, so they don't have to call the local bank. Oh, we're not open yet.
Exactly.
There's plenty of banking,
exactly.
So what would you say?
And the UK Department of Trade, I think it's changed its name now.
YIT or YTK. I don't know. I know it keeps switching. Yeah,
they've got money that they want to lend to companies that have got a connection with the UK or when they're doing production in Serbia, use things from the UK. So that's another, and I think they've got about 4 billion. They were saying at Coponic, that's earmarked for Serbia alone.
Wow.
So that and maybe that's for the Western Balkans as well. But so that's a very interesting and important source of potential finance as well.
Right. So great opportunities.
Correct.
They just got to come over here, give you a call, start doing stuff, and they can meet with obviously the other people in the British Serbian Chamber of Commerce, right?
Of course, and it's all about coming to Belgrade. I think you'll agree, Craig. When you get over there, when you see the confluence, the Sava River, the Danube River. And when you're there and you get a feel for the buzz of the city, everyone's impressed.
Well, I think especially if you've, I think the problem, the big hurdle is for the people that were there 20 years ago, and they're like, no, we're not coming back. And now you come back and you're like, wow, the airport. You can't even believe it. You're like, I think the airport is a good example of how the whole country is going. Because it's such a massive project, and every time I land, there's another part of it done. And it's just a good example of like a photo of how the rest of the country is, or definitely how Belgrade is.
And it's not only Belgrade; it's Serbia as a whole.
Right.
My mother is from southern Serbia, and I know some of the wineries that are being developed down there. Some of the new factories from Leskovac and further towards the border. Open Balkan is a great initiative as well. So there's a huge number of opportunities across all sectors.
Sure. Well, you said wineries, and that's one of the great reasons to go to Serbia. Great wine. I mean, so many young Italians and French wine connoisseurs that own the wineries, and they're like, look, we've been studying, we've been working in 20 years in Italy, but there's no place to own a winery, so we've opened it here. French wines, and
there was a trade delegation last year that from the British Serbian Chamber of Commerce and from the UK that went down to Vranje, and there was a great wine company down there, and we're trying to kind of link them up with potential investors from the UK. But across the whole region, wine. And I think you've been here for the past 15 years. 15 years ago, when you asked for a wine, it wasn't. But now, when you ask for it, it's an excellent list and an excellent range of wines throughout the whole country.
Well, 15 years ago, we would have asked not to have a Serbian wine, and now that's like a joy.
Of course.
Well, Petar Orlic, very good to see you. Thank you for being on the Coffee with Craig show. I think if you're looking at Serbia, you're doing business there already. You're looking for some opportunities, or if you're there and you have some issues with some of the nuances, definitely give Petar a call. We'll be, of course, you'll be tagged in all the text below. And again, great to see you, and we'll welcome to Cannes.
Enjoy MIPIM. Thanks again, Craig, for the opportunity.
Thank you all for watching the Coffee with Craig show today, and stay tuned for the news. Click here to subscribe to the Coffee with Craig show, and don't forget to share it with your friends.